Hello, I'm Rupert Turton, and welcome to the Business Spotlight interview, where we talk to local business owners about their journey. Today, I'm joined by Tina and Naneva from the Fika Cafes in Oakham and Stamford. So, Tia, welcome.
Thanks for having me. Very excited to be on.
So, thank you. Well, tell me first of all, tell us about Fika and how you got into it, how long you've been doing it for.
Okay, so I actually worked at Fika for a couple of years before owning it. So as I just mentioned to you, I started working at Fika part-time to save up some money to go traveling just after I
Hmm.
finished school, and did that, and then eventually got promoted to manager, and I just kind of really fell into it, and it felt like a very natural progression for me. I wasn't really sure whether I'd kind of committed to going to university, but it didn't feel like the right decision for me. I didn't have like an obvious career path, I didn't want to be a doctor or a lawyer or anything like that. So yeah, I kind of fell into it, really enjoyed it. And then a couple of years later, when all of kind of COVID stuff happened and started happening, we had just started the conversation with the previous owner about potentially buying the business, because both my brother and my brother, who's my business partner as well, were working there at the time, and it was quite clear that she was kind of a bit done with it and on her way out and didn't want to do it anymore. So yeah, it just worked out that we were in the right place, right time, and yeah, took it over. It'll be 4 years this summer now.
Wow, good going.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a sort of management buyout.
Yeah, yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so we started with Fika Oakham, and then about a year later, or just over a year, we opened Fika in Stamford. So
Hmm.
it was quite a quick progression, but again, it felt like everything kind of lined up and worked out quite well timing wise, and yeah, really aligned for us. So we just had to go with the momentum and run with it.
So when you were growing up, was hospitality something you wanted to move into, or was it just chance?
It, yes and no. I've had a job in hospitality since I was about 14, so it's all I've
Hmm.
ever really known. So I always joke, like, if Fika doesn't work out, I'm unemployable. I can't do
Yeah,
anything else. But
yeah.
yeah, I've always had a job in hospitality. I've always enjoyed it. I'm quite sociable. I love talking to people. Like that's my favorite part of the job, is like getting to know people. I think it's probably what I do best in terms of my job, building a community and learning what people like, and kind of playing to that. So not really, but like I said, I didn't really have anything specific that I wanted to go into. And I've also always been quite kind of open and flexible with everything, and just willing to, like, I've never really set anything in stone for myself. So
Mm.
I did start working in hospitality, especially when it was kind of in a more serious managerial role. I think it became apparent to me that that's like, what I'm good at, and my calling, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's with the journey you've been on then, let's face it, fairly short
Mm.
from what you've just described. What's your biggest learning you've had as a business owner?
I would say actually this is kind of manifested most in the last year, I'd say. The last year feels like it's been the biggest in terms of like learning how to actually operate a business and run a business properly. And because we've grown a fair bit, and we at one point most recently we had about I want to say about 50 to 55 employees. So it's a lot
Yeah.
of people to manage and oversee. But I'd say the biggest thing is that you can't ever get complacent. You can't ever just like sit back and relax and watch, the fruits of your labor, because things can change so quickly, especially in hospitality, and especially with, the way things are financially at the moment, and how uncertain a lot of people are and everything like that. Yeah, I'd say the biggest thing is like we've learned we have to be ready to pivot at any moment and ready
Yeah.
to kind of adapt to any circumstance, and that things can change overnight. And again, I think COVID taught everyone that, like, within the space of a week, everyone went from being, normal life to full lockdown. So yeah, I'd say the kind of adaptability aspect and element of it is really big.
Yeah. And yeah, you say you mentioned COVID there as well. So what did Fika do during COVID? Because that must have been just after you took over as a manager.
Yeah, yeah. So we took over during COVID, so we knew what we were getting into. And
Mhm.
that was actually one of the things, like, people when we first took over were like, God, you guys have you know, what bad timing. And we were like, no, 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 we knew what we were getting into. So we closed for the first, I want to say, month of lockdown, when it was kind of really strict and no one
Yeah.
was really going out. And then we opened for takeaways.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we could, we opened for sitting in, but we were on like really limited covers. And then
Yeah.
there was a couple more lockdowns after that where we were only allowed to seat people outside. And at the time, we only had our cafe in Oakham, which has about 6 seats outside, so it wasn't
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
lot. But we just basically did whatever we could. We, you know, we were there 7 days a week, so it was like keeping the consistency there, the same working hours. We made sure, both my brother and I made sure to be there every day. You know, it was always like us being customer facing, and we
Yeah.
kind of made sure to really cater for like the takeaway trade. We had like sandwiches and stuff ready to go, so it was quite different to what our normal menu is, but
Mm-hmm.
we just knew like we had to cater to people who wanted to go out and wanted like a little bit of a semblance of normality. And it was a big thing. I think you know, takeaway coffee, especially in pastries and things like that, became quite big over COVID, because people would come in, get their takeaway coffee and go for a walk, because that's basically all you were allowed to do. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it was definitely not exactly what we wanted to be doing. Like, it wasn't the business model we wanted to be doing, but again, it's like the adaptability thing. It was either that or stay shut, and that was,
Yeah.
you know, not a wise option. So we just kind of took it and ran with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And also Fika's got quite a personality to it as well. The food you do, I think it's Swedish influence, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So
Yeah.
it's quite unique as well. So how did you manage to maintain that when you're doing sandwiches and takeaways?
So the biggest thing for us is we have, as you say, we have a personality, we have a style of food, and we've really grown into that a lot. And I
Yeah.
think with each menu now that we release, it's like more fika and like more unique, more stuff that you don't really see in other places, and in terms of the presentation and everything. So when we were doing the takeaway stuff, it was really important to try and keep to that. So although there's always going to be the temptation to like go with what the masses want, it
Yeah.
was very important for us to not do that, and rather like stick to what our brand is and what we're about. So we'd never do something like a ham and cheese panini. You know,
Yeah.
absolutely appreciate there's a place for it, people love it, but it's not us, it's not, you know, it's not our style. So everything we did, we tried to keep, although it was takeaway friendly, like we still tried to keep it very much in line with the brand. And you know, presentation was always still like, it still had to look really good. All
Yeah.
our baking we've always done on site, and you know, we do all our own baking, everything like that. Again, the pastries and stuff, we try and do some different things, and you know, you won't really see a Victoria sponge on the
That's
counters at
true.
Fika,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
so we just tried to keep it unique and like in line with the brand as much as possible, while still catering to what people wanted.
Yeah. Okay. So what's with all that said, what's been your biggest learning about yourself during the journey?
Oh gosh. I would say I mean, this is, I kind of touched on this with the business as well, but again, the adaptability thing, I think it just has to be like, as a business owner, you have to be able to adapt to everything, and just take everything on the chin, not take anything personally.
Yeah.
Because there are days where it feels like, I always say, it feels like it kind of comes in peaks and troughs. Like, we'll have a few really kind of um quiet, in terms of like no drama and nothing going wrong, weeks, and then you'll just have a couple of weeks where it feels like every day there's just calls coming from everywhere, messages from
Yeah.
everywhere, emails flying around everywhere. So it's, I think, like being able to keep a level head, knowing that the calm and the relaxed phases won't last long, but also knowing that the chaos doesn't last long either. Like, just being able to adapt to both of those, and like being able to kick into gear when it is
Yeah.
chaotic and when there is a lot of stuff going wrong, and just keep a level head and not take it, you know, not let it get to you, and just approach it as best as you can and tackle it as best as you can, and then appreciate the quieter moments when they do happen.
Yeah. But that must be there must be something in your personality then that allows you to be able to do that. So what is that?
It's definitely been something that I've had to learn.
Mm.
I'd say in the first year or two of doing business and running a business, I was a lot more kind of emotional about things, and took things a lot more personally. And, you know, really, when we built Fika Stamford, I actually got really burnt out, because I take on a lot, and I kind of put all that responsibility on myself, and I wasn't very good at delegating. I wasn't very
Yeah.
good at, all of that. And again, with time and with more experience and with a growing team and more responsibility, you just kind of learn what you need to allow other people to take on.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I think going through that phase of feeling really burnt out and feeling like I'd lost the love for it a little bit because I'd taken on too much, then made me realize, like, okay, and also made me learn how to be a bit more balanced. And like, I'd have nights where I'd be on my emails until 10 o'clock, and
Yeah.
like, and then I was doing a lot of baking at the time as well, so I'd be then back in the bakery at like 4:35 a.m.
Hmm.
So just learning how to have a bit more balance in my life, and
Yeah.
not allowing the two. Although when you run your own business, work and business is, one. Work and personal is one, but
Yeah.
having some kind of separation has been really good.
Yeah. So interestingly, along your journey, then you must have had some pretty good coaches or mentors that have been giving you advice along the way. So who was the best coach or mentor, whatever you want to call them, that you've had?
Um, I don't know if I haven't really had anyone kind of set that I would think of as like a coach or mentor. I'd
Mm.
say through the cafes, I've met a lot of people and
Yeah.
had a lot of interesting conversations. So I'd almost say it's more like an amalgamation of all the conversations that we have had. And, like, we have a lot of really interesting people come in who
Yeah.
are from very different backgrounds and do very different things. And a lot of business focused people and individuals, and some of those conversations have been really really helpful in kind of forming how I am as a business person. But also I have I love podcasts. I listen to Diary of a CEO, which I'm sure is such a basic answer and everyone says it, but that was one that really kind of, I used to listen to more of his first few episodes rather than the more recent ones, when
Yeah.
he was still building and growing his business, and that I could relate to a lot of that. And yeah, just like taking an interest in talking to people, really. But again, doing it with my brother, that helps. That's, I guess, we kind of act almost like what's the word, like consultants to each other, because we have very
Yeah.
different roles in
Hmm.
business, so we bounce stuff off each other quite a lot, and
Yeah.
um, see things very differently. We have very different views on things, so that's helped me a lot as well.
So, what are your aspirations for Fika in the next 5 years?
I would like Fika to become quite a big household name in this area.
Yeah.
I want people to, when they hear the word Fika, to automatically know exactly what it is, what we
Yeah.
do, and it to almost, just be thrown around and be in a big part of people's lives. And I think we already have an element of that. We do the brunch thing and the coffee thing, but we sell a little bit of merch now. So we've got Fika socks and Fika tote bags. And
Yeah.
actually, I was in the gym the other day and I just saw a Fika tote bag on the stand on the side, and it made me really happy because I feel like it's kind of filtering into everyone's life,
Yeah.
outside of that. And I'd want to do something like a subscription service for our pastries that we make, and do
Yeah.
like a Saturday morning drop off,
Yeah.
almost like how they used to do the vintage milk floats,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
like a Fika version of that with our pastries, and maybe like a coffee van, things like that. So yeah, just be on people's mind all the time, be a
Yeah.
household name, kind of be everywhere they look, but not in terms of, how many locations we have, more in terms
Mm.
of like someone's wearing their Fika socks and carrying their Fika cup with their Fika
Yeah.
tote on, and they've just been for brunch at ours. Like that's my biggest aspiration. I think that would be, that's what makes me the happiest, really.
Why does that make you happy?
It just feels like you're really, I mean, I always say, like, I'm not under any illusions that we're changing the world, or that
Yeah.
we're, gonna be groundbreaking in science or anything like that. But it feels like you're adding something to people's lives, and it feels like you're becoming a part of people's lives, something that they look forward to and something that they kind of plan around. And, people come to ours for a catch up with their friend they haven't seen in a year because, they live across the world, and they've been telling them about this amazing brunch place and they really want to come and bring them. Like that feels like, as small as it is, it feels like you're making a bit of a difference to someone's life and giving them a bit of something to look forward to.
Yeah. So so I love it, by the way, as a goal, as a vision for the business. I think actually that's lovely. So many times we talk to people and it's about the money, and it's not with you, is it? It's about, I was going to say it's the love of the business, but it's more than that. It's the love of the brand.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And I think the money aspect is actually, again, in the last year I've kind of learned this, and it's, with a business, it has to make money because it has to, that's the only way it's going to sustain itself and grow, and you're going to be able to do more and everything like that. But the money only really goes so far. And actually what I've realized is that, being there more and being more involved in it and being, being really aligned with the brand is what I find most fulfilling. And it doesn't, beyond that, the money aspect of it isn't really, it doesn't really appeal to me. There's so many other careers that I could go into. No one has ever got rich out of hospitality. I always joke,
Well, there's a
especially
few people I can think of, but
but they're doing the kind of thing, not on a smaller scale. And I'm not really interested in being the next Starbucks or Costa, because then I think you lose that like personal touch and the kind of connection you have with your community and everything like that. And that's a lot more it for me, the community aspect. And just, seeing the same faces every day. And like I said, making a bit of a change to people's lives and giving people something to look forward to, no matter how small it might be.
Yeah. Excellent. So what would you say to anyone thinking of going into business for themselves?
I'd say just do it. I know that's, the easiest thing to say and the hardest thing to do, but I think if you have a good brand, if you have a good idea, good brand is really important. But good brand, good idea, solid vision of what you want it to be. I think, and I'm probably quite biased because I wouldn't want to go and work for someone else, because I have, my ideas, and I have a way in which I want to see things through and everything like that. But I think, the best thing you can do is just go for it. I would say be, as smart as you can be in terms of finances, and do it as cheaply as you can while still doing it well. And if you can, try and not get involved with big establishments like banks and things like that, especially to start with, until you've got a bit of momentum. But for anyone who has a good idea or a vision of what they want to do, and again, if someone is, say, working a full-time job, but they also have this thing that they really want to do and they're really passionate about, but they don't really see how they can, it's too much of a risk to give up their full-time income, then I would say find a way of making it happen alongside, even if it's just like taking a step, starting something small and then building it up to, because that's how, especially in hospitality, a lot of places have just started with, a lot of like bakeries just started by selling a few loaves of bread to their neighbors and things like that, and then it became an every Saturday thing, and then they got a little van, and then they got their first premises. It kind of spirals from that. So I think as long as you have a good idea, good brand, and are willing to like put a lot of time and effort into it, then just do it.
And this should be quite an interesting answer to the next question. Who's the first person that comes to mind when you think about success?
The first person that I did actually think about this earlier. So earlier when you asked about mentors, I did actually have, I was very, very lucky once to have a conversation with the founder of Little Moons. I don't know if you've heard of Little Moons. So they're a Japanese mochi ice cream brand.
All right.
And you see them a lot, and I think they sell them in Waitrose. They've got a stand in Selfridges. They're really good. And quite a well-known name, quite a big name. And someone put me in touch with the founder of them, and she was amazing, and her story was really interesting. And it's her and her brother as well, which is quite interesting because it's quite rare that I meet someone else who's in business with their brother. And she was, for me, she's kind of the epitome of success, because they grew this mochi ice cream from doing it basically in their kitchen,
Yeah.
And very small batch, and selling it to places like Yo Sushi. So they started actually down through the wholesale market and then went into retail.
Yeah.
And they've just grown like crazy over the last few years. So yeah, she was very inspiring, and definitely what I would call a success.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, and yeah, I've not heard of her, which is really interesting. I'll have to go and
Yeah,
Google after this, but yeah,
yeah,
I'll
do.
find out what she's all about.
Yeah, it's a really interesting story, and they've done a few really good podcasts, her and her brother, and
Yeah,
really interesting to listen to for sure.
yeah, excellent. Tim, it's been lovely talking to you today. How do people find out about Fika Cafes?
So the best place to keep up to date with everything is our social media. We post
Yeah.
on Instagram quite a lot. So it's at Fika Oakham and at Fika Stamford.
Hmm.
We kind of do, yeah, and a lot of food and coffee content, obviously, but also some great other content. We try and keep it really personal to the staff and the team as well.
Yeah.
And also our website, which is fikacafe.co.uk.
Right.
And again, you can kind of find all information you need about Fika on there.
Brilliant. Cool. Well, I look forward to popping in again soon. Haven't been in for a while, but
Oh.
sorry, my fault, not yours.
Yeah.
So, Tia, thanks for your time today. It's been great talking to you about your journey with Fika, and yeah, thanks once again.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.